Come on in. Welcome, welcome. I have water and tea because, you know, life. How is everybody? We are now live on YouTube and live on Twitch. Welcome. Welcome for, I don't know, Marshmallow Day? Whatever. Get on in here. We'll wait. We'll wait for a couple minutes for anybody who's going to be cooking with us. By the way, hon, there's a solid chance that I'm going to have like both of these going at the same time. Yeah, both of them. Well, maybe closer to in tandem. Hello. Welcome. Hello, everybody. Come on in. Get situated if you're cooking with me. Get all your ingredients out. Get ready. Welcome, welcome. We'll hang out here for until maybe 11:10, 11:15, and then we'll start. Hi, hello, everyone. Is everybody excited? I feel like I could do a preview. I'm like excited. We haven't actually started the playlist or like the video. I feel like I should show you guys a preview because you're here so early and you should feel special. So I made these. Yeah, I made them yesterday too. So that I could show you guys how to like cut and roll and like actually shape the marshmallows, so to speak. And so I kind of just want to cut a couple and you guys can kind of see what it looks like. Are you zooming in? Are you turning on the secondary camera? Yeah, you are. Is it on? Oh, you're putting, oh, okay, thanks. So yeah, so they look kind of like that. I can't see that far very well, but you get a kind of layered marshmallow situation. And then you just kind of cut out your marshmallows. And you can make them, you can pour them as thick or thin as you like and make like mini marshmallows. If you do like a big baking sheet, or you can have like really big thick ones that you would like give to people to impress them and stuff like that. But they're a lot of fun. Yes. What is this emote? Is this like a Lep spoon? Lep chef? Okay. That's funny. I thought it was like an upgraded Lep spoon. Is anybody cooking with me today that's here in chat? Oh, I got chocolate and confectioner sugar on my instructions. I'm not mad about it, to be honest. You guys are nuts. The close-up picture, yeah, the one that I used for the live. It's too early for cooking there. Yeah, I get that. See, the thing is though, is a lot of my recipes have to like chill or rest or continue cooking for 4 to 6 hours because it's braised or something like that. And so this way you get up and you start super early in the morning and then you get to smell that wonderful smell all day and be so hungry and resentful. But then you can eat it same day, which is nice. And so you could like have it for lunch or like an early dinner or something like that. You're cleaning the kitchen. Is that close enough? No. But A for effort. Good morning. Hello, Icebox. Welcome. Here for background noise? Yeah. Yep, we got a cooking stream. I'll do an intro in somewhere between 3 to 8 minutes, depending. And then I'll get started and we'll have a video for the channel. Coffee, dirty chai, tea and coffee. It's a combo. Your first cooking stream? Welcome. I hope you enjoy it. I hope that you watch this and maybe learn something, maybe. Enjoy yourself and come back and hang out, or you're inspired to do a cook along and actually cook with me for the next cooking stream. Because these are meant to be like an actual cook along. I don't typically make anything ahead. There's like not movie magic. There is actually for today's. This is the first time that I've done this where I made it ahead of time, just so that I could show people kind of how to cut and shape the marshmallows once they've sat, instead of just being like, hey, we're going as far as a sheet of marshmallows. Good luck figuring out the rest of it. I don't feel as strongly about that when I'm doing something like a stew, because it's kind of just like let it go and then when it's done, serve it over rice. Like there's nothing, or pasta or potatoes or whatever. So there's not too much to it, but for something where there's actually action after the fact, I figured I should have something available to show everybody. But by and large, these streams are done completely live. I have nothing measured. I'm doing it all with you, and I try to give as much explanation, information as possible as I go. Tips, tricks, hacks, all those things. So yeah. Hey.
Hey.
How are you?
Too tall for this camera view.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm missing that caffeine.
You want some of mine?
Oh, maybe just a little bit.
Coffee and chai tea? Coffee, yeah. It's I guess, masala chai latte. And then I threw in a single shot of espresso because I'm a wimp and I cannot do a double shot of espresso. It's A, too bitter, and B, I will be jittery all day. And I don't want to do that, so.
Chat.
Yeah.
Get jealous.
Did you eat one? You're so funny.
So soft.
Yeah.
Like the marshmallows you get in the bag from the store.
Sometimes they can be soft,
No.
but they have to be really fresh.
No.
Like they have to be really fresh. And then the thing is I
Not
feel
that
like,
soft.
well, I feel like the ones with the marshmallows are chewier. Like maybe there's
Ones at
more
the store?
gelatin. Yeah, like maybe there's more gelatin that they like using them for like, to like, I don't know, keep them whole and from sticking to each other, like, and all that kind of stuff, that they have to be like they're like chewier.
Agreed.
So these kind of just dissolve and like melt, and then the ganache is there. See, I don't like marshmallows. I don't typically eat candies or things that are like straight sugar. So like pavlovas, like meringue. That is loud. 11:11. Pavlovas and meringue and marshmallows and things like that are like where it's just straight sugar. It's like too much. I need something spicy or tart or bitter or earthy or just something to like break up the sweetness, which is where this recipe kind of came from. I started experimenting with flavors. I was doing like mint ones. I did one that tasted like Sprite once. That was pretty cool. I did like, it was like lemon and lime flavored and it tasted kind of like Sprite. I did like a ton of different stuff. And then I was like, I kind of want to make like a chocolate one, but I don't want to just put cocoa powder in it. Like I wanted to like really make it interesting. And so I made a ganache and swirled it in and was like, oh, these are it. These are getting made every year. And I've been making these every year since before I had kids. I actually brought them in. I'm not sure if I remember why I went there, but I went to the Visit Florida offices. I think one of my teachers worked there when I was in college, like for my master's program. And I went to go talk to him about a paper or something like that. And I was talking to his receptionist and told her that I had just made these marshmallows. And she was like, oh my gosh, that sounds great. And gave me her email so that I could give her the recipe. And I actually went back like a week later and I brought her a bag and I changed her life. She wrote me back. She wrote me an email and was like, I've given this recipe to my entire family. And we're now making them for the office and we're doing all of these things. And that's why you should make these, because they're grandma approved. Preparing a protein bar in the microwave is like Discovery Channel animals feeding behind the wildlife expert. Hi, Richard. Hello. Welcome in.
I like them chewy.
You never done spiced chai marshmallows? I have not. That might be interesting. You know what would be fun? I wonder if I was gonna do that, if I was gonna do a spiced chai marshmallow, I'm not sure I would wanna keep it kind of like this where like there's a textural difference. What if I think it would be cool to make a caramel. To do like a caramel that would be like hardened to like candies kind of a thing. To like the hard candies that are like, will hold shape. And then while the caramel is warm, mix it in and then let that chill. Or warm-ish, and let it set with the marshmallows. I feel like that would be good. Oh, thanks. Thank you for the happy belated. Oh, hey, Ma. I didn't know who it was for a second. I didn't read the name.
Her birthday was yesterday.
Thank you.
Happy birthday's in chat. Woo!
You have not missed the cooking. I've not started. I'm going to start in about a minute. I'll do an intro, and then I will get cooking. And we will be using that. For those of you who have not been here before, I know there's at least one of you. Right now, this is a live. I'm gonna explain this all again in the video when I do my intro. But essentially, this is cooking from start to finish. I will do a YouTube video intro. We'll get cooking. And then once I'm done cooking, I'll do like an outro, just so that we know where to cut for beginning and end, and then I'll hang out here for another couple minutes. Whoops. I'll hang out here for another couple minutes, and then we'll peace out. The Knowles picked up a birthday win for me? No, they didn't. What are you talking about? They lost. Are you talking about the game against UNC yesterday? I thought we lost. I assumed we lost. We were just saying the same thing, Cross, at the first Sunday of the month. He sneaks up on us. Lep was like, didn't we just do a cooking stream? And I was like, yeah.
No.
Oh, okay. See, my sarcasm meter doesn't exist, especially through text. UX said, yeah, I was being sarcastic.
You missed sarcasm? That's crazy.
Oh, that's awesome. Okay, so Richard says, nice to meet you. I'm deaf from the UK. I also use closed captioning, so it's picking up everything you say. Okay, so I will try very hard to enunciate well enough for closed captioning to pick up everything that I'm saying correctly. That's awesome. Well, you are in luck because I really like the metric system. And I will, in fact, be giving measurements in both imperial and metric, as well as temperatures in Fahrenheit and Celsius. So if you want to make these, you don't have to go nuts looking for the recipe or the measurements.
Tuesday, isn't it?
You don't need to, LOL.
What's that closed captioning sound like?
Metric system is best system. I don't disagree. Hello, Streets. Red drink. He mixes cranberry juice and soda water.
Splash of cranberry.
A splash. You don't like marshmallows, just here for the vibes? I don't like marshmallows, but I like these marshmallows. Ganache-Swirled Marshmallows sounds delicious. They're very good. They're very good. Sounds like he's cheating on Kirkland brand sparkling water with a drink like that. Joke's on you, he used Kirkland brand sparkling water to make the drink. Are we ready?
Ready.
Yeah? Okay. I'm good when you are. Ooh, I'm up against a bunch of wires here. You tell me when, or I guess it doesn't really matter, right? You just clip it whenever?
No.
Huh?
I'll tell you when.
Okay.
Are you ready?
Yeah.
3, 2, 1.
Hello and welcome to the A Little Spoon Kitchen. Today we are going to be making some Ganache-Swirled Marshmallows. They are a holiday tradition in my house. I've been making them for almost a decade now, every year. They're requested, they're delicious, they're great in hot chocolate, they're great just eating by themselves. And it's just a great way to kind of break up the sweetness of marshmallows, to have a little bit of that just fun dark chocolate ribbon throughout. This is a cooking stream, a full cook along. I do not have anything pre-measured. I do have, just as a warning and a heads up, I do have the marshmallows made ahead. I am going to be making a second batch from start to finish with you guys today, but I do have some that have set so I can just show you guys how to cut and shape them and give some tips and tricks on that. I don't typically do that in a cook along, but I thought it would be nice to do that for you guys here today. So I will go ahead and pull out ones that have kind of been sitting for more than 4 hours, are fully set, so that we can shape them. But we're going to be making the chocolate ganache, we're going to be making the marshmallows, we're going to be mixing them and pouring them and getting kind of everything ready to go. We do have people that are cooking along with me today. If you are finding this video on YouTube as just a separate video and not a live, this was previously a live, so I am going to be talking to people in a chat. It might seem weird, but the fun thing is that they ask a lot of really good questions, and so sometimes I don't think of something, information, a question or something like that. I try to cover as many bases as I can, but it's really nice to have some extra people kind of just watching so that they can ask questions, and maybe if you come to this later, they're asking a question that you have and I answer it, and there you go, it's great. So this is just kind of a fun thing for me to do. We do these once a month. It's the first Sunday of every month. We try to have a cooking stream. And if you are interested in any of the recipes that you see here today or see on the live, I do have a website. It's alittlespoon.com, and you can also find me on Instagram at _little_spoon. So let's get started. We are going to start with the chocolate ganache today. Now, it's going to be a half a cup of heavy cream, which is 120 milliliters. And I'm going to go ahead and just pour this out, and we're going to get this kind of started. I'm also going to be using some coffee granules, some espresso granules here. It really makes the chocolate just taste richer. And what we're going to make sure we do is that we heat the heavy cream and we heat the espresso together so that we bloom the espresso a little bit, and it just melts better into the chocolate and just makes it that much better. It also is going to have a little bit of salt. I don't like having recipes that don't have salt somewhere in them. I feel like just base ingredients don't give enough bright and punchiness. So even if there's a little bit of salt, I do like to add salt to recipes. And I honestly feel like a lot of recipes that are online are undersalted. They like undersalt on purpose and then just say salt to taste at the end of it to make sure that you can do it for what your taste buds are, which I appreciate, but I do like to add salt to each component of a recipe to make sure that everything tastes correct or tastes good at each point. And then you're not trying to go back and fix it later. I try really hard to do that. Something else that I do have in this recipe is I say to use bar chocolate. And the reason that I say to use bar chocolate is because this is going to be a higher quality chocolate than like the morsels, mini morsels, or whatever chips that you can find at the store. Turn that off. And so this has less wax coating. It doesn't have the stabilizers that are around it. And morsels are meant to go into things where you don't really want it to melt in, right? So like cookies. And the reason that those morsels exist for cookies is because they have that powder coating kind of on, they have like a coating, like a waxy coating on the outside, and they do have more wax in them. And it's meant so that they don't just immediately melt. But that also, when you're making something like a ganache, it won't have as silky as a texture. It won't melt as well when you're going to eat it. And so in things where like the chocolate is really, really present and the texture is really important, in a cookie you've got all of the flour and it's crispy and it's gooey and it's whatever, and it doesn't matter as much. But with something like a ganache, it does actually matter. For those of you in the US, I'm not sure if this is a British thing yet, you're gonna wanna make sure that you get your chocolate in the baking aisle. I've noticed that if you go into the candy aisle, they don't actually have 4 ounce or 113.5 gram bars anymore. They're like 3.5 ounces now. So if you're in the candy aisle, you have to buy more chocolate to have the correct amount. Like you have to buy more bars. If you go to the baking aisle, they're still standard 4 ounce, 113.5 gram bars. So go to your baking aisle if you're looking for chocolate. Anything that's over 50% is good for this recipe. If you want, you can use a kind of a lower cocoa chocolate. These ones are 60%. I do like these a lot. Today I'm actually using some couverture chocolate. I'm using 72% chocolate, so that's a little bit even darker. I probably wouldn't go higher than something in the 80s for these. There is a lot of sweetness with the marshmallows, but I mean, you're not gonna don't go unsweetened. Let's just put it that way. Like you can go dark. There's plenty of sugar in the marshmallows to balance that out. I wouldn't go milk, but I also wouldn't go unsweetened. So just find something between bittersweet and like a high dark, probably not something over the 80s, and you'll be solid. These are specifically meant, this is basically like if you were gonna have a chocolate bar, they just come in wafers. They're specifically meant for making ganaches and for like pastry applications. So I'm not too worried about them not melting or making a bad texture or something like that. That's strictly like if you go to the store and you get morsels. But yeah, so I typically would use these, but because I have the couverture chocolate and I have these like little melting wafers, I'm gonna use this chocolate for today. It is the same brand. I do like Ghirardelli a lot. If you're looking for another quality brand, Valrhona also is a fantastic company. When it comes to chocolate, they have all sorts of really fun flavors, including passion fruit, which is pretty cool. So that's also a great company if you are looking for another high quality chocolate. And now I'm just gonna stop talking and start measuring. Okay, so we are going to do a half a cup, 120 mils of our heavy cream. So I'm gonna pull out this for. I'm going to be using a double boiler method, which basically is putting about a half an inch to an inch. Okay, there we go. So like 1.3 to like 2.5 centimeters of water in the bottom of a small pot. You're gonna put a bowl on top, and then you do not want the bottom of the bowl to touch the water. The water is going to be gentle simmer. You don't want like, it's just gonna be hot, like just boiling, just letting off steam. You don't want like a full boil, right? Because if it's boiling, that water's touching the bottom of the pot and it's gonna scorch your chocolate when you put your chocolate in, and we don't wanna do that. So you're just gonna set that on top. You're gonna let the water heat up, and once this gets warm, we can start kind of getting things ready and melty and all that kind of stuff. The other way that you can do this is you can put the cream and your coffee granules and your salt directly into a pot and get them nice and warm. Once you see steam start coming off, it doesn't need to boil. Once you see steam start coming off, you can then take it off of the heat and pour it over your measured chocolate. Let it sit for about a minute, and then you can go ahead and start mixing it. I use both methods. I think it depends on the amount of cream for me for which method I'm going to use. This is a very high ratio of chocolate to cream for this ganache specifically, because I need it to harden enough that it's not going to like come apart once the marshmallows are set. Everything needs to be set. I don't want the ganache to be soft. And because of that, there's a lot of chocolate, which means that if I put the cream into the chocolate, sometimes it won't melt all the way, and then I'm kind of left either sticking it in the microwave, if it's in a microwave safe bowl, or kind of going to this method after I've already done the previous method, and I don't want to do that. Why did that do that? There we go. So we are going to be just using the double boiler method for this one. Out of sheer ease, just makes it better. You'll have to check out the passion fruit one. It's a good flavor. It's a good flavor. Was that too much information too quickly? I went on a rant. It's not really a rant, I guess. I just rambled a little bit. Look amazing. What can you use instead of heavy cream? There's honestly not a lot. I'm not sure. Anything that, let's put it this way, if you can find something that whips and thickens, then you can use that. But I don't know of a substitute ingredient that does that. Maybe coconut? You could probably use coconut cream. That would be the only substitution that I know of. Maybe look into that. Look into coconut cream. That'd probably be really good too, in all honesty. I just don't know how it would set. Heavy cream is double cream. You're just gonna look for cream that has 30% or more fat. That's what you're going for. You do have, yeah, it's double cream. Yep. Are they safe to store on the counter? Yes. You could put them in the refrigerator. The only thing about putting them in the refrigerator is that they're going to absorb a lot of moisture, and so they're actually not going to be as good stored in a refrigerator than they are stored on the counter. I honestly will cut them up and just keep them in a sealed container, and they're good for like 2 weeks. There's so much sugar. There's so much sugar in them that they're pretty solid for about 2 weeks before they start kind of going a little stale, and then at that point I mean, honestly, I don't know if I've ever had any leftovers. Maybe today I will, since I have my batch from yesterday and my batch from today, but I don't usually have leftovers that long, like, or any left after that long. Okay. So basically what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna get this cream warmed up. And I'm gonna add the coffee granules in along with the salt so that they can really kind of dissolve and fully get incorporated into the cream. I'm going to use my scale here for these guys. Okay, so I'm going to use about 0.7 grams of the instant coffee granules, which is about a teaspoon. And then I'm also going to do 1/8 of a teaspoon. I use Diamond Crystal kosher salt for anybody that's interested. We talk about this almost every live that we do. The crystal structure is flakier, so it is less salty and compact than something like a Morton crystal, or a Morton salt, and I prefer it. It's much more forgiving on your food if you oversalt by accident, which I appreciate. Okay. And then I'm gonna do, that's about, I guess it's about 1/2 gram. So that's, yeah. Okay, and then this is gonna go in. Yeah, it's 1/8 of a teaspoon for the salt. That's kind of hard to measure sometimes. I don't know if anybody has seen these before. I have these measuring spoons. I'll throw them over this for now. I have these measuring spoons. Which direction do I go? I always have a hard time with this. Where they're circular on one end and then they kind of have this oblong oval shape. I really like these when I have to measure half things. Something like salt, and I'll just kind of do one of these. And then I'm like, that's about half, something like that. Here, I'll get deeper in here so that you guys can see. I'll do something like that, and I'll be like, that's half. But I also, because I am me, I do in fact have the 1/8, 1/16, 1/32. Don't be me. Don't be me. Don't get those. Just go buy the metric. Get a scale. Yeah, get a scale. So I'm just gonna we're boiling a little bit. I'm gonna bring this down. I don't want this to get any, I don't want this to get any more than what it is now. So I'm like literally bringing this down to low. There you go. So this is about perfect. You can see a little bubbles coming up every now and then. We're just gonna simmer, nothing nuts. We just want it to stay warm enough to melt the chocolate. Chocolate melts. I mean, chocolate melts in your hands, right? There's no reason to have water up at 100 degrees, 212 Fahrenheit, 100 Celsius. There's no reason to have it that hot. Like, it will literally melt in your hands. You are, in the 90s Fahrenheit, your fingers, like nothing is gonna, if it can melt on that, you don't need to double the temperature. There's absolutely no reason for it. So I'm gonna wait until I can't see any more specks of the coffee in that before I start adding the chocolate. And then I am also going to measure my chocolate out. So you need about 8 ounces, which is 227 grams. And I'm going to just pour these in until I get that. Might eat a couple of pieces just because chef tax. There we go. Do we have any questions yet? If a recipe calls for 1/32 of a teaspoon, they shouldn't even ask for it. I agree. I fully agree with that. I go down to, I think 1/8 is the lowest I'll go down to. And even that feels nonsensical, but I swear it's better. Everything just is a little bit more vibrant when you add salt to it. Okay, so now I've got all those granules nice and dissolved along with the salt. I'm gonna toss these guys in here, and I'm just gonna let them rest a little bit in there and start to get melty before I start stirring, just kind of the same way that if you pour like hot cream in and let it kind of sit for a second and then start melting, I'm doing that. Just gonna let it, I can already see them getting a little shiny. No more of the science. Bring back the pinch. The pinch is 1/8 of a teaspoon. That's what a pinch is. It's a pinch, a dash. Is it a dash a pinch or a pinch a dash? Here, hold on. They're literally labeled. This is a problem. Oh, a dash. A dash is 1/8. A pinch is 1/16. And a smidgen, for anybody who's wondering, is 1/32 of a teaspoon. Yeah, cloves, there are a lot of the times that's really where those like 1/8 of a teaspoons and stuff come in for ingredients that can kind of overwhelm when they're individually pretty powerful. I think cardamom is another one of those. Cloves and cardamom can kind of overwhelm something really quickly. I feel like I should do this right-handed. I'm left-handed, but I'm covering the camera, so we're gonna go right-handed today. The best way, honestly, to mix this is with an immersion blender. But the ganache is getting mixed in with the marshmallows, so it doesn't need to like look super pretty. I'm gonna turn this off. Just kind of needs to come together. Put this over a towel real quick and get the bottom of that off. I guess I'm gonna we're gonna use this pot for the sugar later. I'm just gonna hold this up and finish mixing so you guys can see it. Left-handed, there we go. Okay. So nice and shiny. And we're just gonna let this cool. It is not going to harden enough that we won't be able to mix this in, to ribbon this in. But if you don't have time, let me say this, if you don't have time to get to it like right away, it's okay if it starts to harden a little bit. You can just kind of gently reheat it and bring it back up and then kind of let it cool again, almost like you're gonna temper it kind of a thing. And then make your marshmallows and kind of come back to it if you really need to. If it does get too hard to mix, you can always kind of gently reheat it and come back to it. But I'm just literally gonna set this aside. We'll come back to it when it's time to mix that into the marshmallows. Right now, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna get my pans kind of prepared so that they're ready to go. About to make a big old mess. I think I'm gonna pull out the garbage can and do this over a garbage can. I've got 2 containers here just because I like my marshmallows to be, I'd like to say no more than 1 inch in thickness, so about 2.5 centimeters. Sometimes I'll do a 1/2 inch and I'll kind of make something that's closer to mini marshmallows, so like 1.3 centimeters. So I like to use like multiple containers or like a pretty long container. If you wanted to make them even smaller, you could put them literally into like a baking sheet, like a cookie tray kind of a thing, and pour them out and they'll be super, super thin. And then you can make like a bunch of mini marshmallows. But I like to have them relatively thick so that you get like really nice swirls of ganache in there. And what you need to do is we need to do it's a 1-to-1 mix of cornstarch and confectioner's sugar. I do have in the recipe, I give an amount, I think it's like a half a cup each. Yeah, it's a half a cup of each of those things, which is it's probably about 70 grams, give or take, of each of those, but it's really just a 1-to-1. So I'm just gonna do a 1-to-1. I'm not really gonna measure this so much, because I always end up using more. That's like exactly what you need for the recipe, but there's nothing wrong with making more and just like having a larger amount. As long as they're 1-to-1, it's gonna be fine. So I'm just gonna dump some in and then do the exact same amount in weight of the other. This is my cornstarch. Whoa, there you go, 80 grams. So 80 grams of the cornstarch, and now we're gonna do 80 grams of confectioner's sugar. And that'll be what we get. I think I'm gonna use a spoon. I feel like that these ingredients plopped out really fast. Okay, I'll zero that out. See, now it's like not gonna be fast enough here. There we go. Do 80. Okay, 80 grams. Okay, and now what I'm gonna do is I'm going to take a whisk. I'm just gonna give that a whisk, get it nice and mixed up. And this is basically what's going to be coating the marshmallows. It's gonna keep them from sticking to the containers that you pour the marshmallows in, and then it's gonna keep them from sticking to each other when you go to cut the marshmallows. Okay, so that's mixed. And now what we're gonna do is we're gonna take a cooking spray. I think you could probably do a really light oil and just grease the pan with a little bit of a neutral oil if you don't want to use a cooking spray, which I totally get. I've never gotten cornstarch out of a container without making some sort of mess. Same. Big same. I also have never not made a mess with flour, so I feel like when you make a mess in the kitchen, it's because you had fun. Let's just say that. I'm also, you know what? I'm gonna do this over the sink too. I'll make. There you go. You can hear the spraying. It's basically what you're gonna do. The disembodied voice off camera is telling you to spray the bottom and the sides of your trays. There you go. So those are sprayed, and now what we're gonna do is we're gonna kind of just dump some of this in, and then we're gonna give it a shake. Oh, he turned off the, can you turn the camera back on? Okay. I'm about to make a mess over this. I'm gonna move it out of the way. I'll get stuff all over it, and then it's gonna burn when I'm cooking on it later. Okay. So basically what you're gonna do, it's kind of like doing one of those like where there's like a bead in a maze, the labyrinth little puzzles that you have to do. It's kind of like that. All right, so that's the bottom. I'm doing this over the garbage. I'm sorry, friends. Okay, no, we're gonna make a mess. We're just gonna do it. We're just gonna make a mess. It's fine. Now you'll notice like this does kind of stick, obviously, that's the point, to the cooking spray. So I've got like where it's thick in some places and thin in another. It doesn't matter. Don't worry about that. You just want to make sure that it's coated enough that you don't see like the metal or the enamel or whatever it is that you're using, that you don't see it through, because that means that it might stick. And we don't want that to happen. Okay. And then I'm going to just pour it onto here, because why not? So there's one, and then we're going to do the second one. Yeah, marshmallows are super sticky. Oh, that was too much, but that's okay. We'll pour out the leftovers. And I'm literally going to pour it on this and then pour it back into there. Oop. Just kind of wanting to get all those edges and sides. Okay. Okay. Just about. And that's pan number 2. Okay. Numero dos. Okay, and then I'm gonna just do one of these. Look at that. Ingenuity. We did it without making a really ginormous mess. Just a little mess. And then I'm going to set these guys off to the side as well. Now we're going to start making our syrup. And we're going to hydrate our gelatin. Honey, is there a way that you can do, back up the camera so you can get both of these in the shot? So it's not just the one surface? Yeah. Thank you. Okay. Mess. Now, the next thing we need is ice cold water. Okay. You're also going to need to have your thermometer kind of ready to go. And then I like to have 2 spatulas on hand. One for this guy, which needs to kind of be scooped into here, and then one for once the marshmallows are ready. And then we already have there's like 3 spatulas, and we already have a spatula in the ganache, just so that everything is scooped and everything is kind of separate, and you're not kind of like randomly mixing things. And I will give tips once we get there on making sure that the marshmallow does not stick to your spatulas too much. So I'm going to set these guys down. The next thing that we need is our water. And I'm actually not going to pre-measure this. You need to have ice cold water specifically for the gelatin. I just use ice cold water for everything, and half of it starts to boil, and then the other half is used for the syrups. You boil it, and then the other half goes in here. But I just do the ice cold, and it boils because heat and stovetop, and it's not a big deal. But you essentially need 1 cup, so 240 mils, and then that's divided. So you put 120, a half a cup, into the mixture that is going to have the gelatin in it, and then the rest of that is going to go into this pot over here. We started with water in it when we did our ganache, because we did our double boiler. And now it's clean because it only had water in it, and we're going to use it again with water, cornstarch, and sugar. So that's just going to sit there at the ready. I am going to go get some ice. This is a fat separator for anybody that doesn't know what this is. Any container that has a spout, just super helpful when you're trying to measure things out, especially if it has measurements. This is literally only thing that I have that is more than a single cup that has measurements on it. And so I'm just using this today because it's going to make things easier for me. I'm going to go get some ice and I'm going to get some water. You're going to hear me using my refrigerator while I'm off camera. So I did get more than a cup, but that's not a big deal because I'll just pour into my other container. So this way I know that everything is as cold as it needs to be. The gelatin needs ice cold water to bloom correctly. And so that's why you start with ice cold water. Yeah, I have the small ones. I have the small containers to make drinks as well. This is like, I have more of these than I know what to do with, and then I only have that. But that's okay because this goes down to a quarter cup. It goes down to 60 mils. Like there's almost no reason for me to have other containers. You don't have big measuring cups? No. I mean, I've got my stackable measuring cups. And then this goes up to 4 cups, or it has like up to 1,000 milliliters on the other side. It just doesn't seem necessary. Everybody's saying for my husband to get me one for Christmas. That's funny. Okay, you're gonna need 3 packets of gelatin. This is gelatine on it. Gelatine. We're not using sheets. I don't actually. I'm assuming. So like, I know that there are gelatin sheets that are out there that you can purchase. I use the powder just because that's what's common here in the US and in our stores. We don't typically like have sheets of gelatin, and the sheets of gelatin all have different amounts of gelatin in them so that when you bloom them, they actually will do different things. And I'm just not gonna make people try to figure that out. So I stick with the powder. You need 21 grams or 3 packets of the gelatin. I use Knox. I know that there are other companies out there, but this is what we have access to. So I'm just gonna pour these packets in. But like I said, if you're looking for, I don't know what you have over in like European markets. I don't know if you can get it kind of like, sometimes we have like yeast packets where it comes like individually, but then you can also get like a jar of yeast. I don't know if you can get like jars of gelatin or something like that. I'm not sure how it works, but it's 21 grams. Is what you need. You thought you had to use sheets? You can, but like there are just different, like I think they have them by, it's like silver gold, and then there's like one other one, but they like 100 grams of each different version has like a different amount of gelatin in it and will change the viscosity. There's like a whole bunch of stuff to think about, and I'm just using the powder. So that's in, and then we're gonna do our half a cup, our 120 mils, and I know I have that here because I had my cream in it. Just gonna give that a quick rinse. Do the sheets dissolve, bloom in cold water the same way powder does? Yes. Yes. You bought a big jar of Knox gelatin off Amazon. Yep. Oh, you used it for meatballs? Did you mix like chicken stock and gelatin together and then put that into meatballs to do the retain moisture? Did it turn out really well? I'm interested. This recipe seems more approachable now without having to use gelatin sheets. Yeah. Yeah. Okay, so we're gonna measure. And the cool thing about pouring with this is that the water goes up the spout and the ice floats. So like I don't have to worry about ice kind of falling out. So you'll be able to see this bloom. This is gonna sit for about 5 minutes. We're gonna start working on getting all of our other ingredients measured and get them boiling. And then essentially we're bringing this up to temperature and then pouring it into our gelatin, our bloomed gelatin. And that's kind of what is going to make the base and then turn into marshmallow. I'm gonna set that aside and come back to it in just a minute. Okay. Want to make sure, yes. Okay, so now we're going to do our, I guess I'm picking it right back up. We're going to do the other half. Move my trash can into here. We're basically finishing out all of the ingredients, the rest of the ingredients, except for the vanilla. Vanilla is going to get put in when your marshmallows are basically done. You don't want to boil off any of the flavor or boil off the extract because the marshmallows are too hot. So that's like kind of always something that's added kind of after you've cooked. You mixed it into the panade with buttermilk and eggs. Okay, okay. That sounds good. I'm glad they worked out. Okay, we're gonna do, I just wanna use the metric. Who are we kidding? We've got 340 grams of sugar. Okay. You can use, I think you could probably use whatever sugar you wanted for this. If you wanted to use like a turbinado, or you wanted to use refined sugar like this where it's pure white. If you want to use unrefined sugar, you can do that. I think most of the time when I make this recipe, I use unrefined sugar. The only difference is that the things like Demerara, turbinado, unrefined, they have a little bit of molasses still in them. So you are gonna get slightly more of a caramelized flavor, just a hint. So it's not gonna be as just singularly sugar and that like kind of like brightness of that. It'll be mellowed a little bit in flavor, which is fine. Nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong at all. Okay, we're coming back to this, kind of using it as my trusty measuring bowl here. We're gonna do 340 grams. I have it written down as 1.5 cups plus 1.5 tablespoons of granulated sugar. I love when that just happens to happen. When you like do a recipe based off metric and then like you move it to imperial and you're like, oh wow, people are gonna love doing that, measuring that out. So use a kitchen scale. Way easier. Okay, almost there. $340. I'm gonna dump her in. Whew. Okay. Lid. I lost the lid for a second. My eyes. For the vanilla, can we sub paste? Yes. Paste and extract are 1-to-1. Yeah, paste and extract are 1-to-1. And then if you are ever going to use an actual vanilla bean, think of it this way. 1 vanilla bean equals 1 tablespoon of paste equals 1 tablespoon of extract. So if you half your vanilla bean, it's a half of a tablespoon. If you quarter it, it's a, I guess a quarter of a tablespoon, but that's kind of a little funky math. I guess you would third. If you third your vanilla bean, it's a teaspoon. How's that? So half it, you get a half a tablespoon. If you put it in thirds, you get a teaspoon. So depending on how much you're trying to work with, the vanilla bean, like a single vanilla bean, if you kind of strip it open and all that kind of stuff and do all that fancy stuff to it, 1 is the equivalent of a tablespoon, or I guess 15 milliliters volume measurement. I don't know what it is by the weight, but that probably helpful. Maybe just a little bit. Okay, the next thing that we need is our corn syrup. Now here is, again, if you want to use a neutral oil, you can. I just really like to do this. I think this is just like super helpful when you're using ingredients that like have a high viscosity, the way that corn syrup, molasses, honey, anything like that. What I like to do is I like to spray them or grease them with a little bit of oil just before I pour into them. You could also, I guess, did I give a weight for this one? I don't know if I did. I need to go back and get gram weights for some of these earlier recipes. I just did milliliters. Yeah, I only have milliliters here. I should honestly weigh it so that you guys can just pour directly into the pot. Actually, I'm gonna do that right now. Who are we kidding? Let's do that right now. Tad more. There. Okay. We're weighing it. We're weighing it for science. How much is this? Okay. So because you've sprayed, I don't know if you can see it on camera, but because you've sprayed, all of that is just gonna come straight down and out. And you don't have to sit there and try to like take a spatula and get all of it, because it's literally just gonna come down the sides because it was greased. Yeah, one of the push tube measuring things, I have one of those. It worked for a while. It's too old. It leaks. And I always end up making a mess because here, let me set this down. I talk with my hands. It like kind of twists to push, but it kind of will sometimes get like I don't know, creaky. It's not smooth. And so I end up like popping liquids out of it. Like I can't ever get it right. And so I don't know. I know a lot of people who are proponents of those, but I never seem to like not make a mess or get the measurements correct when I use those things. Like a syringe without a needle. Kind of. I feel like, I don't know. Honestly, I may have thrown it away just because like I wasn't. Oh no, I have it here. So it looks like this. And then you've got all your measurements. Hey, look, I do have another measuring thing that what does this go up to? 2 cups? 2 cups. Oh, and it has a liquid and a dry fill. That's cool. And you kind of will twist to whatever measurement you want. And then it's squeegeed, right? So it's got a silicone top, and it will literally, and then you just take like a knife and you can kind of go right off the top, and then you've got everything. So this is great for something like peanut butter or any kind of nut butter where you're like trying to measure it and you don't want to sit there and try to use a spatula to get everything out. Yeah, they're pretty cool. I'm not gonna lie, they're pretty cool. I have a hard time like not making a mess. I already make enough of a mess. Yeah, Alton Brown used them. That's honestly why I ended up with one, was because I was like, I need to know. This man, I trust this man with my life. Okay, so we have everything in here except for my salt. I'm gonna add that real quick. Oh, I didn't even check what I poured it in and didn't check what the weight was. 170 grams, friends. Okay, I'm gonna write that down. I'll update the recipe so that it's in there. Okay, so it's 120 mils or 170 grams. Wow, that is a huge difference. And that, my friends, is why we use the metric system and we weigh our ingredients instead of using a volumetric system. For precision, that is a huge difference. Okay. I need a 1/4 teaspoon. It's basically 1 or 0.6 grams, I believe, is what we're looking for, right? No, 1/4 teaspoon. Oh, 1.2 grams, my bad. Of my kosher salt, 1.2 grams. Dumping that in, and then we're gonna get this boiling. Now, I am going to, I guess I'll use my spatula. I am going to make sure it's going up to a high heat. I'm using a high heat spatula, but honestly, I'm only really gonna use this at the end. Right now, I'm just incorporating the ingredients. But once this starts boiling, don't touch it. Just let it boil. And it will, at some point, it's gonna look like it's gonna boil over. I'll turn the heat down just slightly, but it won't boil over. It'll just bubble. It bubbles quite a bit. Don't worry about it. We're basically making it's kind of like making wet caramel. And essentially what it'll do is it'll stay at a solitary temperature until the water boils off of it. So that half a cup, 120 mils of water that went in will boil off, and then the temperature will rise once the water boils off. Okay, so now I'm gonna let this just sit. I'm not gonna bother it. I'm not going to mix again. I don't want it to seize. Sugar really likes to get agitated and then crystallize, and we don't want it to do that. There's enough corn syrup in this that it really shouldn't have that problem, but we're just gonna be on the safe side. So I'm gonna get that boiling. And then you wanna make sure that your stuff is clean. So like don't have pieces of food, like make sure your instruments are all pretty clean, so that when you're measuring, again, sugar likes to crystallize, it likes to seize. When you're taking a temperature, if you have a candy thermometer, also great. You probably need a higher sided pot than this, but you can set up your candy thermometer and then you can just watch it. I'm going to be using this little guy here. But you want, thank you. Hey, it's 75 degrees in my kitchen. You want this to get to 240 degrees Fahrenheit or 115.5 degrees Celsius. And then at that point, you've hit what would be called hard crack stage for sugared candies. But because we have the corn syrup in it, it's going to stay really kind of viscous and kind of have that like pull apart texture. And that is what is going to give you that chewiness, that and the gelatin in your marshmallows. This cooking stream has you shopping for kitchen gadgets. I need to get an affiliate links and things like that. I don't know. I never set it up. I have so many fun things in my kitchen that I use all the time, and I don't have like links to any of them. Do I have any questions for any of the things that I've been up to? We have a single ingredient left, vanilla. I like to use Nielsen Massey. They're my favorite brand of vanilla. I know that I think I've heard good things about Trader Joe's vanilla, and also Whole Foods does have their own like store brand vanilla that's supposed to be pretty good. But Nielsen Massey is my go-to. It's just a really high quality, just wonderfully made vanilla extract. I have multiple vanilla extracts of theirs. Today I'm using the Madagascar bourbon pure vanilla. This does not have bourbon in it. It's not barrel aged. It's not any of that. It's from the Bourbon Islands in Madagascar, off of Madagascar. That's where the name comes from. And this is my favorite variety. If you do buy just their like vanilla extract, it just says like pure vanilla extract, it's got a brown label. I might have paste actually that has that. Yeah. Honestly, I have way too many. These are all vanillas and extracts, and yeah. The vanilla bean paste, pure vanilla bean paste that they have does have some of this in it, along with other varietals. It's just a really nice blend of their beans and of their extracts. But I do like this specific variety. Typically, when you're doing something that is just like a sugar, like I said earlier, meringues, pavlovas, marshmallows, things like that, the Tahitian vanilla is super light, and it's like slightly It's got a little bit of a hint of citrus and floral. It's super light. This has a much deeper, more complex flavor. Because I have the dark chocolate, I'm going to use this. But if I was doing like a straight marshmallow, I would probably use either the blend, which is a little bit mellower, or I would use this Tahitian, which is super, super light. In case anyone wants to get like super gourmet and nitpicky and all of that. That's what I recommend. The Bourbon Islands, take me there, yeah. I did not get that from Costco, but I was also pleasantly surprised when I saw Nielsen Massey at Costco. I was very surprised. I typically buy that online or at a local. We have a local shop that sells it, and that's usually where I get it from. Okay, this is starting to go. I need this to be up in temperature. Faster, friends, faster. We're gonna bring that up higher. Does gelatin look any different after it's been sitting to bloom? Yes. It literally looks like sand. I don't know. It's kind of, I don't know if you can, can we not see in that? Ah, dang it. I had him, okay, so I had my husband change the camera so that you could see. Can you even see that? I can't tell what we can see and can't see. Is that better? We're just gonna give you the angle to see this. I'm gonna move this on top of this. I don't know if you can see in there. It looks kind of sandy on top, and then just like you would expect, like a clear kind of gel underneath it. But it starts off as a powder and a liquid, and then they kind of come together and it makes just like a weird sandy gel in the bottom of the bowl. I'm not sure if that was helpful. I hope you could see it. You can see it? Okay, good. Cool. Okay, we're starting to boil. Yay. So like I said, I'm not messing with it. At most, I might give it like a little bit of a swirl, but we're not touching. Not touching. So used for salt. Just gonna let that go. It should bubble up even higher than this. It'll probably come up to about the top, and then the bubbles will just kind of pop as they get up there and hit the edges. There we go. I'm not used to using this cooktop because I have induction behind me, and I'm used to that cooktop. We bought this specifically so that we could have a camera on it. But as you can see, like we got up, but we're not boiling over the edge. We're getting it at just a temperature that's going to kind of bring it up to the top, and then they'll just kind of like pop up as they go. But again, like I said, we're letting off the steam, right? So I've got a bunch of steam going on here. If I held my hands here long enough, I'd have like beads of water on them. But we're boiling off all the water. And once the water boils off, then it's going to start to climb in temperature. And that's where you're going to get up to your 240, 115.5 Celsius, 240 Fahrenheit. That's where you're going to get that temperature. And then that's when we're going to start mixing and pouring. And I guess I'll get everything kind of together. We've got our ganache, and we've got our 2 containers here. We are about, I think we're probably at least at 226, yeah. Okay, so we still have some water in here that's boiling off. We will get there. Just do one of these. I want to make sure that the tip of this doesn't touch anything because I don't want to introduce any food or powder or anything to this. Do we have any questions? No, just learning. Cool. That is the point. I'm glad you're learning. We're taking notes? Okay, cool. I'm starting to see, so it starts off, the bubbles are kind of really small. I'm starting to see them get pretty big, and I'm seeing the actual, it's kind of like an off-white color, and that's basically because of the corn syrup in here, but it doesn't, you're never gonna get like a caramel color. If you get a caramel color, you've gone too far. So it's just gonna be like slightly off-white, and the bubbles are gonna start to get a little transparent. And you're not gonna see like a white kind of like foam, like that's gonna go away. So now we're climbing in temperature. And I'm waiting until I hit the one that I want. I'm about 5 degrees Celsius, 10 degrees Fahrenheit off. I'm just I'm taking it in half because it's easier to do the math that way. But I'm pretty close. I'm gonna up this just a little bit in temperature to make sure that we hit. Sometimes if you are cooking on a stovetop and your temperature is too low, it'll kind of like maintain that temperature and you want to get it up higher. Once you're out of the woods of this like kind of boiling over, it's good for you to go ahead and move that temperature up if you need to get to it. Oh, don't do that. I had to clear it. Okay, there we go. Keep going, little by little. I think we're about a minute and a half off from where we need to be. Maybe less. Depends on how fast this gets warmer. There we go. And then I'm actually gonna do a little bit of these where I'm kind of like taking it out, putting it back in. This isn't something that you need to do with a candy thermometer. It's just because it's an instant read, and sometimes if it's like sitting in it, it's not gonna register. But I'm actually also going to tilt my pan a little bit to make sure that I have enough of a pocket of liquid and it's not sitting like in the bubbles. And you never want to touch the tip of your thermometer to the bottom of the pan because then it's literally reading the bottom of the pan. It's not reading the liquid that's in there. So sometimes if you've got like a rolling boil and a lot of air bubbles, it's not gonna be in a pocket of liquid and it won't read it correctly. And so I'm gonna kind of tilt it a little bit too when I feel like I'm getting close to make sure that I'm changing temperature and that I'm reading it correctly here. Okay, I'm about 2 degrees off Celsius, about a little less than 5 Fahrenheit off from where I want to be. Oh, we have a raid. Violet Shade. Thank you for joining us. We're cooking. We're about to start mixing marshmallows. Okay, I think we're there. Let's see where we are. Oh, very close, 1 degree. Very close. We're almost at the dangerous part. It's not a dangerous part. It's not dangerous. There it is. Okay, so we've hit 240 or 115.5 Celsius. And now what I'm gonna do is I'm going to have this on low. That doesn't sound right. What are you clicking for? We'll risk it for the biscuit. Okay. And what you're gonna do is you're gonna just very slowly pour in your liquid. Do not have this on a high speed. Have it on the lowest possible speed. This is very hot. If you start whisking very hot liquid in a bowl and it splatters out on you, it's going to stick to you because it is viscous and it's not gonna feel good. Okay, and then what I also am gonna do is as quick as I can, because this will cool pretty quickly. I'm gonna just get the last bit of it in. You don't really have to do this. I just like to try to get as much of the ingredients in as I can. And that's it. I'm gonna run some water and get it up to a high temperature, and then fill that bowl with some hot water, or that pot with some hot water, so that the sugar in there will dissolve. We're gonna let this kind of go for just a couple of minutes. It is quite hot. I'm going to bring this up one faster, but again, I don't want it to start splattering or any of that kind of stuff. Once I start seeing this start to get a little frothy and turn less transparent, so I start to see it turn kind of white, there's like really small bubbles that are starting, then I'll start moving it up to even higher temperatures, and it'll start getting more of that marshmallow consistency. This is gonna go for like 10 minutes. This is gonna go for like 10 minutes. It always takes a really long time for us to get hot water. It's just so loud. I'll just do it like that. Okay. We're gonna move this out of the way so I have some more room, because now I don't need our cooking surfaces are not necessary anymore. So I've got our two kind of containers here, and then our ganache. And our ganache has cooled and is ready to go and is yummy. And then I'm trying to decide, should I show now? Oh wait, we can chat a little bit. Did anybody have any questions? This is a question about a home and not this specific recipe, but I'm happy to answer it. If you moved into a new construction, would you have one of those separate instant boiling water spouts installed? No. No. I mean, it's one of those things that's like good for resale value, because people think, I don't know, I guess rich people think that it's cool to have gadgets that you never use. Nobody uses those. I have never spoken to a single person that has one of those spigots that uses it. Now, I have seen where people have those, like boiling hot water right at your sink in like a little spout. It was like a little circle, or not circle, whatever. It looks like the same like bend as your faucet, but it's like really thin. And it's just like you press down, and then hot water comes out of it for tea, where you can just like put boiling water into like a mug. That I have seen, and that I have used. And I feel like I would rather that than the pot thing in the back by the stovetop. Your mom has that and she uses it for tea all the time? Yeah. Okay, we got some hot water. We're gonna fill up, just for cleaning purposes, I'm gonna put all of the things that I just used in some hot water to make it easier to clean them later. Okay, I'm gonna start bringing this up now. By the time this is like a marshmallow fluff, and we've almost tripled the volume, it will still be warm, but it will not be hot. It'll just be like body temperature. So if you're looking for like other details to help you figure out when things are done, It's going to be like a jarred marshmallow fluff consistency, and it's going to be about body temperature by the time it's whisked enough. Aw. Hi, Carrie. Miss you guys. Been working a new job. Fun. Don't get to come by as often as I'd like. That's okay. We're happy you're here now. Welcome. Hey, Carrie. When's the best time to eat chocolate and marshmallows? In this morning. Some morning. Get it? Get it? Put it. So like I said earlier, the only thing that we have left to add is the vanilla. That's going to go in once I'm closer to a marshmallow fluff consistency, but I'm all kind of ready to go. I do have, I did say earlier when I first started that I have already made marshmallows. Once I get this kind of mixed and in the prepared pans that I have over here, the prepared casserole dishes that I have here, I'll go ahead and I'll pull those out, and then we can kind of go, I wanted to go in a linear fashion. I could be showing you how that works right now, but I kind of want it to be like, okay, we're pouring it in, it's gonna set, here's ones that have set, and then I'll show you guys how to cut and shape those marshmallows. Actually, I'm going to pull out a cutting board for that. So we have that ready. Okay, so you can see we're starting to get, it's no longer like an off-white color. It's starting to turn more white. We're getting a lot of little bubbles in there. It's definitely starting to aerate. This is gonna start to increase in volume much more quickly now that we've started aerating. It's kind of like making whipped cream, right? This takes longer than whipped cream though. This is about the amount of time it takes if you're gonna do whipped cream by hand. And I am going to increase the volume now that I'm seeing kind of lines and ribbons in it, right? Which tells me that it's gotten a little bit of that viscosity so that if I turn it faster, it's not going to like flick out at me. So I am going to increase again. And I feel like, is it too loud? No? Okay. I'm never sure about like how loud everything is over my mic. And I know my mic is right here, but I'm trying to stand off to the side, but
Right here is not that loud.
okay. That's good to know.
They can definitely hear it.
Yeah. So you see, we're starting to get actual individual ribbons and divots and things you can see in there. Definitely increasing in volume. You can actually see that it is visibly like lightened in color. And it is still hot, but I can actually I could hold my hands. This is like the temperature I want my tea to be when I drink it. Not body temperature, it's definitely warmer than that, but I'm not gonna burn myself. As you whip air into this, it is going to pull the temperature of the air is going to get kind of pulled into this, and it's going to make sure that it's cools. That's the word I was looking for, that it cools. Yeah, it is an arm workout to make whipped cream by hand, for sure. That is an arm workout. Honestly, there are certain things that I think about where I'm like, how did people do this before these machines existed? Like brioche. Whoever came up with a brioche recipe before a stand mixer or some kind of dough mixer, glutton for punishment. That person was a masochist. Okay. So we are at the point where this is still runny. Show you. It's still runny, but you can tell that we've gotten pretty, like we're getting really close to a marshmallow texture. This is at the point where you're gonna add your vanilla. So it's cooled off enough that we're not going to like boil out any of the extract or anything like that. So we can add our vanilla in. You can see it's just like sitting on top, right? Because we have this texture. I don't know, honestly, I don't know why I'm locking this. There's nothing in here that's gonna cause the head to start bumping up, but force of habit, I suppose. So we want this to be thickened just a little bit more, maybe another minute, give or take.
Where do you want the camera to?
Huh?
Where do you want the camera to?
It'll be right here, right next to where this bowl is. I'm gonna kind of walk in front for a second. Apologies if I get in front of the camera. I got marshmallow on my hands. This is gonna happen again, but I don't want sticky hands. Just gonna rinse. Ooh, Hawaiian donuts. What did that entail? What happens to marshmallows if you overmix them? They're pretty forgiving food. They're probably just gonna be a little bit more chewier than you would want them to be. But there's no cream in this. It's not really gonna do anything. It'll cool enough that it starts to set in the bowl, and then it's gonna be harder for it to spread here, but you really can't do much. It's more about temperature than it is about mixing or overmixing. This is very, very, very close to done. I'm gonna give this about 30 seconds more, and then we're going to mix in the ganache. It's almost marshmallow fluff consistency. So like what you would get when you scoop it out of a jar. That's what you're looking for, huh? Just a little bit. I do want it to be drippy. I just want it to be a little thicker. What you're gonna start to see, this is what you're gonna look for, and I feel like you could maybe see it. You can see how it's pulling away from the sides, and it almost looks like if you were stretching dough and you get those like holes that kind of pull apart in dough when you're stretching it. That's what you want to see. When you start to see that, that's when you know you're ready. Okay, this is done. So you can see that it's kind of ribboned, and it does have its own, like it stays separate and then kind of melts in. This is actually pretty close to like, this is a little bit thinner than you would want if you were gonna do like macaronage for macarons, but that's pretty dang close. Like you can do your figure eight and then it takes several seconds to melt in. This is about the texture that you want for a macaron, to be honest. Okay, so we're just gonna kind of tap that off. There's nothing you can do for this. If you want, you can set this down. It'll cool so fast that it probably won't drip. Yeah, like this piece kind of solidified right in the air. And you can just eat the marshmallow off of this because it's gonna set. So basically right now what we're doing is we're working against time because the cooler that this gets, the more it sets. And I guess I'll do this. I'll just set this down on the floor. Okay. Now we are going to pour the ganache directly into, can you, okay, we'll do this. We're gonna pour the ganache directly into our marshmallow. Okay. So that's gonna go right in. And then I'm going to give this a little bit of a coat. And I might do it like twice. And I'm gonna mix like 2 to 4 times. So the point is to marble this. The point isn't to incorporate it. There. And then we're just gonna pour. Actually, we're gonna move this and then we're gonna pour. Okay. We'll do our second one. So if you've ever made like Rice Krispie treats, you know that like when you pour the marshmallows out of the bowl and into the Rice Krispie treats, that you're like working against time, right? That's basically what you're doing here, is you're doing the same thing. And I'm gonna use my previous spatula here, and I am gonna give this a spray again, because that one kind of got coated. And I don't have the time to clean. And basically what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna spray it, and then I'm going to move everything into the center, or into the sides, sorry, to make sure that we're level. The spray will stop it from sticking. Again, if you wanna just like keep a little bowl of oil around and have like a neutral oil, you can do that. These look like they spread pretty well. I don't think I'm gonna have to do anything with these. Yeah. These are nice and flat. Okay, and we're just gonna kind of do a little one of these just to make sure that they flatten and they stay on the sides. And that's basically it. You have marshmallows now. These are going to take a minimum of 4 hours to set. I really just want to sit and lick the spoon now. And once they're set, then you can take them out and cut them. And this is the first time that I've done this. I did make these ahead of time. I made a batch yesterday. Yeah, see, so none of this, you can see that it's basically marshmallow right now, and it'll continue to harden into like full marshmallow. I can come back to this once I show you guys like cutting, and it'll be just like actual marshmallow by that time because it cooled off so fast. So I made a batch of these yesterday. I wanted to be able to show how you take them out and cut them. Could you fill one pan to the top and have super thick marshmallows? Yes. That's kind of the fun thing about this, is you can have any size marshmallow that you potentially want. Honestly, if you really wanted to, you could have molds and you can just spray the molds and get the confectioner sugar and cornstarch mixture into like molds and have like domes and skulls and like whatever shaped marshmallow you want, because they'll just go into the molds, and you can just kind of like spoon. It might be a little bit harder with this just because you kind of mixed in that ganache and you are working against the cooling down of the marshmallows. So like that's kind of something to keep in mind. But you could do you could make them whatever shape size you wanted. It's really nice to have like you could make them look kind of like those gourmet marshmallows you buy at the store where they're like super big squares. That's kind of what the ones in this blue dish are gonna be. They'll probably be about like that thick. And I'll cut them into nice big kind of chunks. But you can also put them on like a baking tray. So you could do like one small kind of container all the way up to the top, and then you could put the rest of it out on a baking sheet, and you can make mini marshmallows if you wanted to. And you could too just make the marshmallows from this recipe if you want just marshmallows, just like vanilla marshmallows. You don't have to do the ganache. And you can also add in almond extract, peppermint extract, orange extract, rose, have fun, do whatever you want. All of those are available to you as flavors. Enjoy, like have fun with it. Why not? So these are our marshmallows. Remember, we can take them right out of the pan because we've put the cornstarch. So it sat in this and now it's out. They should come right out. If they don't, it might honestly just because the chocolate ganache is like kind of sitting on the bottom. So if they don't come out kind of perfectly, if you get like an offset spatula, you can probably just kind of move it around underneath and take it out. I'm about to get incredibly messy here, but I don't truly care. I'm gonna throw them back in this once I cut them. So you can use a knife. If you want, you can get like a chef knife or just like a long knife. I like to use a pizza cutter. But essentially what you want to do is you just want to kind of coat with your mixture on both sides. And you're going to have the remainder of the cornstarch and the confectioner sugar, the icing sugar, is going to be in a bowl. And then what you're going to do is you're going to cut whatever size you want. So you're just going to make strips. You can see the marbling. This kind of, the one sad thing about this is that in order to keep them from sticking to each other, you kind of have to coat it a little bit. And so you kind of lose the visual of this really nice kind of lamination, for lack of better terminology, between the ganache and the marshmallow. But essentially, there's your marshmallow. And you just make squares. And these are great in any kind of latte you want to do, like mocha or like a peppermint latte or something like that, and put these in. They're really nice. And you're just going to kind of coat them. And then you can put them into a jar. You can put them in baggies, give them to friends. I like to keep them in like one of these guys where they're just airtight, just to keep them fresher longer. And you can see I'm gonna eat one of these. The ganache was super thick on the top on this one, so they're not as pretty. But let me tell you, I bet you these ones taste better than any of the other ones. But you're basically just gonna make sizes. You can make whatever size you want. Like, make some smaller ones. We're all friends here. Same thing. I'm gonna do some smaller ones. Now, you can't change the thickness. The thickness is whatever it is. So if you wanted something that was really small, and you're going for like square shapes and not something that's necessarily like oblong, then you are going to want it to spread it thinner. So it is a thinner thickness. But you could make like little squares if you really wanted to. So you can have, something like that and then something like these. But you can see, again, kind of this really nice lamination between the ganache and the marshmallow. And it's delicious. Mmm. And you just give them a little toss. If you don't want to get your hands really messy like this, like if that's a problem, you can just use, I guess you could use like tongs or something to pull them out. But if you put them into a sifter or some kind of like fine mesh strainer, and then you can just kind of like give it a little whack against the palm of your hand and just get all of that powder to kind of fall through. And you can do that. But yeah, just a pizza cutter. If it starts to get a little sticky, same thing. Just add more of this mixture to it. Easy peasy. And that's basically it. The marshmallows are done. I'm going to wash my hands and then we can end the video. I'll stick around for a little bit and Lep can come in and hang out for a little bit, and then we'll go ahead and we'll end the live since we are done. Does anybody have any final questions that they want to make sure that other people might, if you have any questions, if you have any thoughts, any ideas that you want to run by me for maybe do this or that, that we can chat about, speak now or forever hold your peace. Because I'm going to do the outro for this video in just a minute. And I'm going to eat another one of these. Store them in the fridge. No. Oh, wow, that was a huge chunk of ganache. That was really good. You're going to want to store them in an airtight container on your counter, in your pantry, wherever you want them to be. There is more than enough sugar in them that they will stay for a solid 2 weeks. And you're not gonna, like, they'll be good to go. Sugar slows down the growth of bacteria. You'll be good for a solid 2 weeks. And then they're gonna start to get a little stale and a little rubbery. And at that point, you can honestly continue eating them for like another week, but at that point, they're like not worth it to me unless they're like getting melted into something. I'm not just gonna eat them the way that I would, like I'm doing right now. Don't store them in the refrigerator. They'll pull in too much moisture. The ganache will get a little weird. Just keep them in your pantry. Oh no, a huge chunk of ganache. Can I add dulce de leche to the marshmallows? Yes. If you have, I lost chocolate. I lost chocolate down my, that's gonna melt. If you have it to where it thickens enough that it will set and you can cut through it without it like kind of squeezing out. Because here's the thing, right, is it's like, it needs to be able to harden. Like I specifically have this ganache, like you see how it's like almost crumbly? I have this ganache with a really high ratio of chocolate because I want to make sure that it like hardens enough that you can kind of cut through it and it can't get like squeezed or pressed out of the marshmallows. So if you're going to do something that is not chocolate, you need to make sure that it is thick enough that it is set. Dulce de leche could work, caramel could work. But it needs to be that consistency where it's like where you would cut like caramel squares, right? And then like wrap them or something and give them away. Like it needs to be that consistency, that viscosity. Can you vacuum seal them? Absolutely. Absolutely. Just make sure that you use like a soft or delicate or whatever setting it is when you're doing that. But you could 100%. You can vacuum seal them. Okay, I guess I'll go ahead and end the stream. And I'll stick around for a little longer. We can chat about other things outside of cooking and outside of this recipe. But let's go ahead and end it here. Thank you so much for joining me today in the Little Spoon Kitchen. I hope that the Ganache-Swirled Marshmallows seemed easy enough, approachable enough, that you feel comfortable making these at home. I know that hot syrups and sugars and things like that can feel a little bit scary. But as you can tell, we successfully did this in not a lot of time. And these are going to be absolutely delicious for you, for your family, for whoever you decide to share them with. I hope that everything that I said here today was helpful, that you maybe picked up something that you can use in other aspects of your kitchen and your cooking journey. That's kind of what I aim to do with the recipes that I make and with these streams. I do have other videos in YouTube, so feel free to like, subscribe, comment. If you have questions for other videos, if you want to make any of the other things, go ahead and comment. I check them, so I will see them and I can respond to you. If there is something that you want to know that was not answered in another live or in another video, I do these lives once a month. They're typically the first Sunday of every month. And I think next month we're doing cranberry and orange cream scones. Super excited. Those are very delicious. We've done meatballs and gumbo and all sorts of really fun stuff. I also have a website at alittlespoon.com where there are plenty of really, I think, high quality recipes. I do cocktails and mains and sides and desserts and all sorts of really fun stuff. And I always have a ton of FAQs and notes. I think it's really important to understand kind of the science of the techniques and the ingredients that you're using and why you're using them, so that, again, you can use that information as you go out into other cooking experiences and recipes aside from what I have on my website. I also do have an Instagram. It's at _little_spoon. I do post full recipes on my Instagram as well, and as I do on the website, so you can find them in both places. And I do not, and nor do I intend to ever have ads on my website. So if you do go there, it's going to be a nice little breath of fresh air. The recipe is near the top, which I am told I should not do by SEO experts, but I've done it. So you don't have to scroll through a bunch of stuff to get to the good stuff. And you can just kind of rest easy getting into those recipes. I do also use metric. So there will be measurements in Fahrenheit and Celsius. I will give inches and centimeters, and I will give measurements in grams and milliliters and things like that, as well as cups and pints and things like that, ounces. So anyone can come in and make the recipes that I have on my site. I think that's about it. I will see you guys next time. Again, thank you very much for joining me, and I look forward to the next cooking stream. Bye.
Okay.
Okie dokie. Thank you, thank you.
Tell them the video is done recording.
The video is done recording? What?
Yeah.
Say that? Did you want me to say that?
I mean, just so people understand the stream's not ending.
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, I said that a couple of times. Roll credits. Yeah. We're going to hang for like another 10 minutes. Maybe clean up a little bit. It's so good. Now I can curse. I always feel like the endings are like rambly, but there's like so much information. Like, I don't know how influencers like list off all their stuff without sounding like they're literally going through a checklist. I guess it is what it is. Compose a fun limerick about marshmallows and chocolate ganache. In a s'mores temptation so grand, marshmallows and ganache took a stand. They melted together in delicious tether. Wow, Nightbot. AI did this one dirty. Now a taste that's truly unplanned. It's not, what do you mean? It is very planned. Very planned. I need a teleprompter, right? Right? If I had a teleprompter, that'd make things so much easier. Even an outline. Like, I just need to sit down and like write it out. Write out a little speech and then just say that every time. If I write it down, I can remember it. I'm like, we'll wing it. Hey, Chaos. Hi. Have Leb hold signs for me. Thanks, Fury. It tastes good. It tastes as good as it looks. Honestly, this isn't hot anymore, but I kind of want to throw a marshmallow in here. We'll just like tandem. Got powder all over me. It's impossible to work with confectioner's sugar and cornstarch and not be a mess.
We don't make mistakes. We have happy.
Hey, Washikas. Thank you for the 35 months of subscriptions. Primers, that's impressive. I'm always impressed with the Prime subs because they're not auto anymore, right? They're like not auto. You have to remember to go in and be like, I specifically want to, huh?
They were never auto.
They were never auto? I thought they were for just like a little bit when they first started them.
I remember. I don't think so.
I don't have the brain to remember, and it would have to be like a calendar, like an alarm or an event that I set up that was like, hey, go resubscribe. Hey, go resubscribe every month, because I would fully forget. You have this mug. It's from Walmart. It makes me happy. It's pretty. You have a calendar reminder sent to you to use your Prime? Nice. See? Smart. What?
Thanks for scheduling moving money from Jeff Bezos into my pocket.
I remember when I get ads on the channel. That's funny. That's a great way to do that. Primes have never been auto. Shoot, man.
Okay, I'm just going to keep eating.
Okay. I've got those too.
Why is this one so hard? Ganache?
There's ganache. There's a really thick piece of ganache in the middle of that one. Yeah.
Oh no.
Oh no.
Can we get 5 get the subs?
I think I'm gonna bring a bunch of like plastic baggies to bottle share so that people can have some, and then if they want to take some, they can take some, because I don't want all of these marshmallows. I will eat
Shoes
all
are
of them.
sliding.
What we should be doing is eating out of the bowl. That's what we should be doing.
Oh, that's like super soft. What? My turn.
You get on the other side?
Spoonula.
Did we get trick-or-treaters? We have like 6 kids in the neighborhood, including ours. And at 6:30, everybody meets outside and they just run around the neighborhood in like a scrum. So we get them. They all run to our house. We put a bowl out and the kids will run up to it and grab candy. And the whole neighborhood just kind of like shares candy. Lep does not have an Audi. His shirt's doing something weird.
What?
I don't know. Somebody asked if you had an Audi or if your shirt was weird. He used to have an Audi, but then he had a hernia surgery and it's no longer an Audi. Was that too much information? That felt personal. You don't care?
No.
Okay.
I inhaled and confectioner sugar hit the back of my throat.
Nice.
So chat, guess who got a shipment of wine that we did not order from a place in Washington that we used to be wine club members of?
Yep.
And they must have sent the wrong order because we didn't order this wine, but it's
I have to check.
it's like 8 or 9 bottles.
9 is 9 bottles
9
of wine.
bottles of pretty good wine just showed up for free. I was thinking we were sponsored by them or something, but there's like 6 bottles of the rosé.
Oh. Yeah, that was it. But I bought this in May. So I bought an order in May, okay? And I called them. Yeah. So I called them and I said, do not ship me the wine. I live in Florida and it's too hot. And I asked them, I was like, you don't do like refrigerated shipping overnight or any of that? And they said, no. And I said, just hold on to it until it cools off in Florida and it's cold enough to ship. They did not send me an email, did not send me tracking information, did not say your order shipped, nothing. And we got somebody at the door while I was doing my Insta Live on Thursday, knocking and ringing the bell because they needed a signature because it's wine. And I was like, I ignored it because I was like, leave me alone. I have nothing. And when he found the sticker thingy on the door and was like, oh, it says you needed to sign for something. And I was like, what? And so I scanned it for the tracking and it said that it came from the literal area that winery is at. And I was like, they didn't send me anything saying that it shipped. It's weird. And I legitimately called them and was like, did you guys send me wine? Because you shouldn't have. It's still too hot here. And the girl on the phone was like, no, I have that. You still have an open order that it's not been shipped. We still have it. And I said, okay, good. I was like, I'll call you.
Wrong.
I'll call you when it's time to ship it. And she was like, okay, yeah, absolutely. That's what you should do is call me when it's time to ship it. And
Wrong.
And then that's what the order was. So I don't know.
Not free per se. It's half off.
In theory,
Half off.
If I call them, here's the thing though. If I call them, are they going to say, no, it's closed because it did actually get shipped to you? So it's showing it's open, but she made it seem like it wasn't shipped either, that they still have it there.
In the heat.
Yeah,
So
it was,
a lot of that
those
wine
bottles,
got hot.
those bottles were warm when we got them.
So
I paid for that wine in May, but I told them not to ship it. So it might be half off.
Half off.
Yeah. I might have spent $260 on 18 bottles of wine. That's not bad.
That's pretty good. For high quality wine.
If they say that they'll send it again.
Now we need people to come over to drink all of it.
Yeah.
Also, today I got to clean off liquidated pumpkins on the front porch.
Yeah, the pumpkins disintegrated and
Very quick. I've never seen them disintegrate that fast.
It took 3 days.
Yeah. Some scary actual scary, spooky jack-o'-lanterns that turn black with mold and
Yeah. You paid for it, then it was on sale. Yeah, something like that. Yeah, Florida's too hot. You can't, especially like red wine. White wine can kind of be okay, but red wine, it'll push the cork out. And it'll go bad, and you can't do that. Like, it can't get too hot.
Late night wine stream. Woo,
You had that at your wedding, and it was kind of decent. Had what?
Our specific wine?
Yeah, our specific wine.
A half off deal? Stinky jack-o'-lanterns?
Oh, Kirkland wine, but is it Kirkland wine? We had that at our wedding, and it was kind of decent.
Oh.
I've had a couple of their wines. I want to say I've only had their like Prosecco, and their Brut champagne. The Brut champagne I think was a little too astringent, like acidic, for my taste, and the Prosecco is just like bubbles. It's just neutral bubbles. Which is great if you're doing like mimosas and stuff, but I wouldn't buy it if you like Prosecco. Like if you want it to taste like Prosecco, I would probably buy a different sparkling wine. But if you were using it for like Bellinis or French 75s or mimosas and you don't want the flavor of whatever you're using altered, it's a great option. They're Prosecco. I think it's the one with the purple label. The Boda boxes. Boxed wine is great. Yeah, good for champagne cocktails. Also, well, I guess again, it depends on how clean or funky you want it to be. It's great for sorbets, or champagne syrups, or things like that, but it depends on how clean of a flavor you want. So like if you want whatever you're making, If you're using it in some kind of a simple syrup or for like a sorbet, and you want it to have like that kind of like yeast champagne flavor of like the lees, like if you want to have that, then I would go with something that's a little funkier and is probably like made in the traditional champagne style, right? But if you want something like super clean and just like a hint of, then you could probably do like a Prosecco or a Cava or something like that. The winery we ordered from is called Efesti. And I really like their Kaylee red wine, and I really like their Big Papa. Big Papa is kind of expensive. They're like $70 for that, but the Kaylee ones are good. It's a Syrah, and I really like it. I don't think it's gonna... They have, if you like Riesling, they have an off-dry Riesling that's like slightly sweet. It's super light and crisp. It's really nice. It's called Evergreen. You do like a Riesling? They have a good Riesling. I will say that. I'm not usually a fan of Riesling. It's sweet, but it's not like... I've had Rieslings that are like Moscato sweet and they don't have enough acidity. So like I prefer Greek Assorticos over like Rieslings and like Sancerres and things like that. I think I like the acidity. I don't like, I already said earlier, like I don't like super sweet things. I need like tartness or spice or bitterness or something to kind of like punch through things that are just like straight sweet. Like I can't do like Moscatos and things like that. I don't typically do like Gewürztramins or like Rieslings or like it's not my jam.
Juice.
But Assorticos I entertain because they typically have like a nice minerality to them and they're typically like pretty acidic and punchy, and I like that.
Punchy.
You like a dry Riesling or Gewürz with Thai food? Yeah.
Couples that drink together live longer as opposed to solo drinking.
I mean,
What,
that
you mean
makes
like-
sense.
well,
I feel like that's situational.
Wait, you mean like couples that drink solo don't live as long as couples that drink together? Like, hey babe, I'm gonna go drink, and you're like, okay, me too, and we just like
Separate to different parts of the house.
Man, it'd be a weird activity. Wine is healthy for you. One a day, 1 glass a day. Something heart.
There are aspects of wine that is healthy for you, but it's really red wines. Red wines have...
Hey, you want to go get healthy?
Yeah, we could if you want. But we also have bottle share today.
Bottle share, yeah.
So if we wanted to, we could do that and then nap and then get up for bottle share and then pass out later tonight. If I have a glass of wine, I'm going to get sleepy. I'm like 2 sips of wine and I'm like in an hour. It could just, honestly, I could like have a sip of his wine at like lunch or something like that. And we get home and then within like 45 minutes, I'm like, I started to get tired.
I fell asleep trying to watch Ring of Power last night.
You did. He had his hand like up. I don't know where your arm was, why you had it up so high. I was like,
side of the couch.
Okay. He had it on the side of the couch and I was like, kind of like hanging out on his front. We were like sitting watching the movie because our couch is like situated with like the TV is here and the couch is over here.
Continue.
Yeah, I am over-explaining. I am autistic. And everybody needs as much detail and context as possible. And I'm like feeling his arm touch my head. And I was like, what are you doing up there? And he's like half asleep. And I was like, and he told me.
Fully asleep.
We sat down and he was like, are you going to make it? Like, are you going to get too tired? And I was like,
tired in this movie.
He was like, you're going to get tired. And I was like, I'll be fine. I'll be fine. If I say I'm fine, I'm fine. And then he starts dipping out. And I was like, do you want to stop? I think you're too tired. And he said yes. And we did not finish
I gotta watch that whole episode. I was asleep on the entire episode. I literally don't remember anything from that entire episode.
Yeah.
Okay. End stream time. Say goodbye
Bye.
to us, and we'll say goodbye to you.
Yeah. You have to be at your computer to pause it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Pause it. End it.
End it.
Kill it.
But not in that way. We're not ending it. We're just ending stream.
What else could it end?
You said, never mind. Life.
Oh. Kill it.
Yeah. Thanks, everybody. Thank you for hanging out with us. This relatively quick stream. I think it's like an hour. It was like an hour and a half live, or an hour and a half video sandwiched by 20 minutes on either side, give or take. Relatively quick recipe this time. Hi. Hi. Bye.
3, 2.
Okay, wait. Okay. I will see you guys. Luff will see you. Today's Sunday, right? Luff will see you tomorrow. I'll probably pop in and say hello. Oh, maybe I won't. I have a field trip that I have to go to. I might drink coffee with you and then dip out because I have to go to something that I think is at like 9:30. So I'll see you guys in the morning along with him for just a little bit, and then he's gonna be streaming tomorrow, 6:30 a.m. Eastern to 3:30 p.m. in the afternoon, also Eastern, maybe. Bye. Have a good one, everybody. See you next time.